For those who don't know me, I'm the president of the European Med Society. Well, by the way, this is my last term, so I will be finishing after this annual meeting. And my successor has been designated here by the EMS governing body, and will be Horst Böttger. I think he's probably sitting somewhere in the room. Yes, here is Horst. Now standing, yes. So I'm happy to, I would say, start opening this 14th annual meeting of the European Medical Society. Clearly such a meeting was from the very beginning when the society was created in the early 2000s. That was the goal, really, to have such annual meetings run, I would say, year on year, and allowing the overall, I would say, European meteorological community to come together and meet all over Europe. And in fact, to add on the work which is done by all national meteorological societies, which are, I would say, the members of the European Med Societies. And over the years also, those meetings have evolved, and they now encompass two specific, I would say, pre-existing conferences, one about applied meteorology and one about applied climatology. And what we do is that we alternate, although as you will see, and you probably have already seen from the program, in fact, there is always, I would say, some climatology issues even in, I would say, applied meteorology years. And you have seen also that for this year, some of the conferences are not simply about climatology, but also about other programs. So it's now quite a wide program which we have in our conferences. Clearly, the theme for this year, so this year is also what we call an ECAC year, so for European Conference on Applied Climatology. And the theme for this year is about creating climate services through partnership. And I think every word here is quite important. Clearly, first of all, partnership is something really which is at the heart of what the European Med Society is developing. So not limiting ourselves, that could have been the case at the beginning, to meteorology, but really bringing together all the various communities that have to work together, mainly to develop in particular climate predictions. Partnership was last year also in theme, but that was now about high impact weather and how in a way to prepare for them. And again, when it comes to applied climatology, we need such a partnership. And the other important word here is about the development of climate services, which is clearly one of the key issues which we face in the for coming years in order to develop such services for the benefit of society. And the lectures that will be given to all of us during the second part of this opening session after the break will probably, I would say, give you more information about the challenges for developing such climate services. Just rapid view about our program, so I will not read through them. You can see that on the screen by yourselves. So clearly the first three, which are in blue, are part of this applied climatology conference, and the other ones are, I would say, sessions which go year on year as part of the European Medical Society annual meeting. So you can see the various themes, and you have the full program, and you can also, if you download the app, you will have all the, I would say, latest information about this program. There are a few special events which I would like to emphasize. First of all, there is a small exhibition which is taking place in the, I would say, in the middle part at this floor. And would invite you, I would say, to visit the various exhibitors which joined us for this session. There will be also a media session tomorrow morning that will include presentation by those who have won I would say, the media awards. And so for those interested, I clearly invite them to attend this session and listen to those presentations. In the afternoon, we will have the award ceremony, which is one of the, I would say, important events each year during the EMS annual meeting. And so we'll present the various awards to the awardees. And there will be a small presentation also in that one announcing the Harry Houghton Foundation Prize. This is a biennial prize. The first one was awarded last year at the EMS annual meeting in Reading, and there will be another one run next year. And it's probably for them quite important to have, I would say, as many propositions as possible. That will be the goal of this small presentation. And also a session about Horizon 2020, so the European Research and Innovation Program presentation, and also answering to your question will be organized tomorrow late afternoon. There is also a training workshop running on Wednesday morning about tips for effectively dealing with the media. And clearly that's also something which for a lot of us is quite interesting. And I've already mentioned, of course, the ECAC symposium, so European Conference on Applied Meteorology, and also the theme for this one. And there are also now parallel events, I would call them linked events. One of them is today and tomorrow, the third European Communication for Med Services. We have also organized in parallel, but not here. This will take place in Charles University, but would probably interest a lot of you, a climate change, a discussion about climate change reality without myth, with, I would say, very high-level presenters, and those interesting really should not hesitate to take the metro and travel down the line to the Charles University. And also you have a photo exhibition. There is a competition organized by EMS, and you have all the 10 winner photos which are presented in the hall just here. And also all the posters which you will be able to visit. So there will be an outstanding poster award, and this one will be announced and delivered at the end of the meeting on Friday afternoon. And for the poster, there is a poster also for this Harry Houghton Prize, which you will be able to see here again in the part just down there. I would like to thank all those who have made this conference possible. I will not even try, I would say, to list all of them. I'm sure to forget somebody, and that would be even worse than anything. But I can tell you a lot of persons dedicated a lot of work in preparing this, and I would like to really to thank them all globally. Just announcing, so that this is an annual meeting, so this is taking place year on year, and there will be another meeting next year. And the meeting next year will take place early in the year. That will be beginning of September, and it will take place in Sofia in Bulgaria. So clearly already pencil those dates so that you can attend also the next annual meeting, which will be clearly a joint meeting again with EMS annual meeting, and now this one will be with a European conference on applied application of meteorology. Just remind you, our easiest thing, tonight there will be an ice breaker. That will be just in the middle part here at this floor. There will be a tasting of Czech beer. Being told this is one of the specialty of this country, so take advantage of that. And also now on, as I mentioned already, on Friday afternoon, will you announce the Outstanding Poster Award. Having said that, I would like now to stop here, and I will ask, there are quite a few addressive, which will be given to welcome you all. And I will invite, I would say, now the second address to be given. I will ask you to forgive. I may not pronounce all names properly. So the next address will be given by the director of the Czech Med Service, Václav Dvorak.
The pronunciation of my name was excellent. I have no remarks on that. Thank you. Anyway, dear EMS President, dear participants, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor I can welcome you in this 14th EMS annual meeting and the 10th European Conference on Applied Climatology in Prague on behalf of the Czech Hydrometeorological Institute, which together with other local organizers, namely the Czech Meteorological Society and Faculty of Mathematics and Physics of Charles University, took part in supporting the European Meteorological Society in organizing these well-established European events. The conference team, Creating Climate Services Through Partnership, clearly expresses the current needs for both developing the climate science and responding to expectations of users for applications of scientific knowledge of the climate system in practical terms. However, building the profound knowledge of climate system requires substantial and continuous efforts and time, combining observations, monitoring, theoretical studies, and modeling in many disciplines of physical sciences. I am pleased to note that the program of the conference and meeting covers all the important aspects and elements, starting with monitoring, one of the principal activities of our institute, through research, understanding climate processes and climate change, education and communication with public, up to numerical weather prediction, another main activity of our institute, and closing with study of the atmospheric systems in general. I am sure that contributions presented in the meeting and conference will help in enhancing further our knowledge of climate and understanding the atmospheric systems with all its multidisciplinary interactions, noting that one of the most important elements in verifying our knowledge is through careful comparison and assessment of our conclusions and results with monitoring and observation data. An important part of the program focuses on climate services, closely related to the global framework of climate services, or GFCS, a concept established by the World Climate Conference, which took part in Geneva in 2009, as a UN initiative led by the World Meteorological Organization, concentrating on development and application of science-based climate information and services in support of decision-making, planning, policy development, and practice. Among many sectors being covered by GFCS are, in particular, agriculture and food security, water, health, and disaster risk reductions. A symposium on the challenge of climate services, together with workshops and public debate on climate change, organized within the program of the conference, will with no doubt offer an excellent opportunity to discuss a number of important issues, such as availability of climate data and climate information, provision of climate services, and application of user needs in development of climate services and related research activities. In addition, interested participants will be welcomed in our institute during a facultative visit to our National Weather Forecast Center, where presentations will be offered on weather forecast, use of Aladdin model for climate projections, forecasting hydrological conditions during extreme events, and operation of an air quality warning system. In concluding, dear Mr. EMS President, dear participants, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let me wish you a very successful and fruitful meeting and conference and a pleasant stay here in Prague.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Thomas Alenka. Well, Thomas is the president of the Czech Med Society, and he has been a very active member in the European Med Society since its beginning, and occupying various positions in the governing bodies, and is now chair of the education team. Thomas.
Thanks for your kind words, Dominic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, colleagues, let me welcome you on behalf of Czech Meteorological Society. I will try to be a bit less formal. I came with a few slides, so let me start with the slides. Actually, we are happy having that European Med Society annual meeting together with European Conference on Applied Climatology here in Prague. And I hope that you will enjoy the conference at least as I hope. Well then, so now it looks that we are here. Well, so it's becomes a reality, and as I said, we are pretty happy with that. Actually speaking, I have to say that at the beginning, it was not our idea to organize this meeting here, actually. That I should acknowledge that company which is organizing the meeting as local organizer, CIN, which approached us with the offer to organize this meeting here in Prague, and actually we agreed, and we were happy finally, and especially with that connection to Applied Climatology meeting, because that is something we see in our society, that it needs to a bit improve attention to these topics here in our country. So that was the role of Czech Med Society, coming with that initiative to European Med Society. And then that was maybe the first option for combination with the effort of Copernicus company, which is another company I have to thank for everything arranging here. And that's company actually EMS is using from the beginning of our annual meetings. So definitely thanks for their cooperation of all these bodies and even all the sponsors actually, which make this conference to be reality in Prague. The special thanks for sure is going to Czech Med Service for their assistance in organizing the meeting, as well as, because actually I have my boss, my standard job is on Department of Meteorology and Environment Protection of Charles University. So definitely my thanks are going to the Charles University, because actually I did plenty of work within my working time. So thanks. Well, another issue which I would like to mention is that another, not our initiative, because to be here, because my first proposal was going to that Congress Palace, which is actually a place which was built for conventions of Communist Party in the 80s. Actually, it's a very nice place, I mean by location, and with nice park around, where you probably enjoy the time, maybe more than sitting in the rooms and listening the conference talk. Actually, there is a very nice view from there, which actually it's a bit closer. It's the view from there, it's actually a bit far, but still it's actually very nice view. But as I said, so I think that we have to admit that it's really better to be here because the weather for this week looks to be quite nice. Today, we have tomorrow. Only Wednesday will be some rainy, but anyway, Thursday, Friday, again sun and quite high temperatures, so you can really enjoy the week. And we are happy to have you here in the Clarion Hotel to follow the lectures anyway. Well, only our imprint, finally, I would say, is, say, beer tasting for that icebreaker today. That's the group of small and mid-sized breweries we approached. Actually, the original idea was to provide you actually not standard beers you can have as some Pilsner and etc., but some local breweries, small local breweries. Unfortunately, we failed with one from vicinity of Prague. That one, it's we have two brands from these two marks, so 4 beers you will be able to taste. This one, actually, it's I have really very personal connection to that because it's from a small town where I was born. And another one, quite famous, is Černá Hora. Well, anyway, so going back to be a bit more serious, as Dominic already mentioned, we are organizing public grade debate at our university just to use the opportunity having here all the distinguished guests and actually top experts in the field. So you can see the panelists, which will be Daniela Jakob, Director of Climate Services Center in Hamburg. We expect Hans von Storch, actually it's confirmed, but he's not here in this moment. He is actually Director of Coastal Research Institute from Germany, and Rasmus Benestad, who is from Met Norway, and as well actually one of leading person of the web Real Climate. So that's topic is climate change, reality without myth, and we expect to cover the topics like climate change and impacts to different sectors, and actually climate services to develop for mitigation and adaptation measures and as well some impacts of adaptation, uncertainty in the adaptation. So that will be a topic for real public grade debate. It was announced really publicly, and you can find some leaflets here around in the tables with the map how to get there, so everybody is welcome. Well then, so let me wish you to enjoy this conference. Hope at least as much as you enjoy the beer today or tonight. I wish you successful stay here in the conference, and have a nice stay in Prague at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. We'll probably switch that one. Our next speaker, first of all, is the former Minister of Environment in this country, so we are quite honored to have you welcoming us in here. I'm afraid, from what I was told at the beginning, I'm not sure I can pronounce your name properly, so I will just do it as I would read it, so Peter Kallas, but I know it's not the right way in this case, so please join me here.
It was almost right. Dear Mr. President, distinguished delegates, guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased and honored to extend, on behalf of the Ministry of the Environment of the Czech Republic, the most welcome greetings to this 14th annual meeting of the European Meteorological Society and the 10th European Conference on Applied Climatology. It is not necessary to stress the importance of your gathering in Prague, Mr. President. During the coming days, you will address important topics that focus in particular on how to further create and extend climate services through partnerships. This reflects and complements the ongoing international discussion regarding the climate changes. From the outset of the climate change discussions, the meteorology and climatology provided essential data and quantified analytical basis on climate development. Both areas thus became the integral and highly regarded part of the international climate change process. Intensive scientific research and modeling have been spread among many renowned and prestigious research institutes and universities widely based on the meteorological database. So we can state now, referring to the fifth report of the IPCC panel of scientists, that climate changes is highly challenging reality for our planet, reality without myth. Mr. President, among environmental policies of my ministry, the climate change areas represent a high priority issue. Internationally, the Czech Republic is an alternate member of the Green Climate Fund and provides financial contribution to its activities. This has been also stated at the recent climate summit in New York. We participate in supporting various international bodies such as UNEP, GF, and also the Czech Development Assistance contains the climate change components. On the domestic front, our effort, also in line with our EU membership, is focused both on mitigation and adaptation to climate changes. However, I need to admit that it has been the phenomena of more frequent occurrences and high and growing intensity of climate impacts during the last decade, such as floods, droughts, and resulting damages and related costs that have gradually helped change the rather skeptical attitude towards climate changes, in particular among our politicians. Let me reiterate that the meteorological activities related also to climate change development of last year represent only a smooth continuation of the soon 100-year-old meteorological tradition in the Czech Republic. As a matter of fact, the State Meteorological Institute was one of the first public institutions created within the Czechoslovakia in 1918. And it captures even a longer tradition if we could consider our meteorological institution within the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, a long time before 1918. However, it is not just for its historical tradition why the Ministry of Environment supports the activity of the current Czech Hydrometeorological Institute. It has been for its manifold scientific contributions, including continuous meteorological observations, scientific research, and the daily preparation of the weather forecast, and last but not least, for the participation in and cooperation with major international meteorological and climate institutions and organizations. I am sure that the upcoming program of your deliberation in Prague will leave the director of the Hydrometeorological Institute room for illustration of some of the most important areas with central participation of the Czech Hydrometeorological Institute in national and international programs. Mr. President, when mentioning the climate change effort in my ministry, I would like to mention three areas we consider essential from the meteorological and climate viewpoints. The first are short-term meteorological predictions. They are critical for mobilizing our well-established center warning system and its regional branches. The Anti-Flood Commission is a part of the country's crisis management. This commission is led by the Ministry of Environment, and this is why close links are maintained between the Ministry and the Hydrometeorological Institute during flood crisis on weather development. Another area requesting short-term meteo data refers to regions inclined to poor air quality under unfavorable weather conditions, inversions, ozone occurrence, and the like, and so mobilizing warning systems to adopt necessary measures, reduction of industrial production, transport to reduce local emissions, for health protection of sensitive part of the population. The second important area addresses the necessity to maintain sustainability of meteoclimate and hydro networks and data, and the analytical capability to assess risk of climate change impacts. The support of the basic and applied research in the area of climate changes is one of our basic obligations resulting from signing the UN Climate Framework Convention. Within the process of adaptation to climate changes, the modeling trends on possible or expected climate shifts based on long-term data help to develop resilience measures and robustness strategies to adapt to climate changes. And finally, the third priority area I wish to mention here refers to climate services. Climate services refer to data gathering, processing, analytical interpretation, and equally importantly, to their user-friendly format. Based on frequent experiences, even the best analytical outcomes lose their effectiveness for their users, politicians or decision makers, if not translated to their language or to their way of thinking. Such language requires conversion and expression of scientific data expressed in terms of costs, financial and social impacts. Mr. President, to conclude, let me, on behalf of my Minister and the Ministry of Environment, wish you and all participants success in your gathering and many beneficial outcomes for the international climate change dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, and I'm sure that quite a lot of the issues you have raised will be addressed during the various conference. I'm not sure you will be able to attend all the lectures, but I'm sure you will be told about the outcome. Our next lecture presentation will be given by Mr. Jan Kratochvil. He is the Dean of the Faculty of Mathematics and Physics at Charles University in Prague. So please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to Prague on behalf of the Faculty of Mathematics and Physics, and actually also on behalf of the Charles University as a whole, as I was asked by the rector, Professor Tomáš Zima, to pass greetings to you and wishes of a successful conference. He planned to come in person, but unfortunately had to go abroad for a business trip these days. I am very pleased that the Faculty of Mathematics and Physics is involved in organizing the events, and that our people, members of our departments, are helping to what I hope and believe will be a success. Let me mention two more general reasons. One is that meteorology is one of the most profound ways where you see that basic research finds direct applications. Everybody looks at the weather forecast a couple of times a day and should notice this. And in the days when in our country and other countries reduction of funding of basic research is debated on a daily basis, I think the connection of basic research to applications and applied research is important to note and stress. The second reason is that the theme of your conference is partnership. There is no doubt that international cooperation is needed to achieve better results and in a more effective way. But there is also no doubt that international collaboration contributes to understanding of the nations, and that is something that the current world still needs a lot. So with this, Mr. President, I would like to wish you that not only the beer and wine parties, but the entire conference is kind of a celebration of your ending term of service. And I would like to wish the President stepping in a lot of success and strong nerves in the service to the community in the years that are to come. And to all of you, a fruitful and pleasant week in Prague.
Thank you very much. Sure will do. Next speaker will now move to the more metrical side. So next speaker will be Jay Verwey. So he comes from the Dutch National Weather Service and is the chair of the EUMETNet climate program. So clearly involved now in the preparation of this ECAC, Applied Climatology Conference. Jay. Thank you.
Good morning. Yeah, as Dominique said, I'm G. Verver from KNMI, but I'm working also for the EUMETNet climate program. And I just want to say a very few words. And I want to spend those words also in explaining what EUMETNet is, because I think ECMWF is well known and EUMETSAT is well known and EUMETNet is less known than those. EUMETNet is a group of 31 Met offices in Europe, and I looked up the mission. Of course, I know what they do, but it's phrased, and I read it up to you. I cannot remember it out of my head. To help its members to develop and share individual and joint capabilities through cooperation programs, and the climate program that I'm the manager of is one of those. Cooperation programs that enable enhanced networking, interoperability, optimization and integration within Europe. It's a big sentence. It's very prominent on the web page. But in practice, I think it's quite a practical group. There are 3 programs: observation program, which is the biggest, and that try to coordinate all the observations that are done within Europe, and to make that more efficient and more useful for the Met offices. There's a forecasting program trying to improve the forecast of European Met offices, and there's the climate program that's supporting this conference. And also in climate, there's a quite practical approach. For instance, the focus on climate services is clear. And although it's quite a buzzword, climate services in recent years, I think it's a good. Everybody would agree that it's good to look at the applications and to see how we can make all the climate information useful for society. So that is also one of the foci of this conference. I have to mention that the ECAC, so the European Conference on Applied Climatology, that is in the Program and Science Committee. There's Ingeborg Auer, who was here, who did on behalf of EUMETNet to prepare the program. So we have to thank her for doing that. And I think the only thing that's left is to wish you all a very good conference and enjoy the beer. I understand that's a big thing here, but also enjoy a very fruitful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Just want to correct an image which starts to being built up. I think this conference is not only about beer. Will be also about climatology, for example. So clearly, EUMETNet is an important part of the European Met community. All the Met services coming together, say, to do common development instead of simply doing things in parallel is a very important development. Another important, I would say, element of that European Met community is also the private sector, which has developed over years. And I would like to ask now Robert Murau to come and give a welcome address in the name of PriMet, who is the grouping of, I would say, private sector companies active in Europe. Robert has been working for KNMI also, for the Dutch National Met Service, also at ECMWF, where we've seen him quite often, and is now the Director of Research of Metro Group, which is the biggest company in Europe. Robert.
Thank you, Dominique. You got my name right. It's easy for you. Yes, it seems to be the second part of a Dutch quarter, and I don't know how that came about, but 3 Dutch speakers in a row. We live in a world full of information. We have to live with uncertainty, and on top of that, we have to make decisions based on incomplete information. There's many books that have been written about it, so I won't go into too much detail. But if you translate that into our world, we can ask questions like, what is climate? Is it the average weather, average over an arbitrary period? Is 30 years the right time, the right interval? Is it a good convention? Do we have enough data to properly establish climate? Does climate exist? And how can we talk about climate change, which is uncertain anyway, to a degree, if we're struggling with the concept of climate? For the user, it's simple. Climate is what he has experienced in his lifetime, so influenced by sampling, as you could call it. You could say, he would say, well, long ago, the winters were much more severe. Or showers like today, I've never witnessed in my life. Or the more tricky one, the floods this winter must be caused by climate change. How can we judge an individual extreme event in the context of climate change? For the user, these observations are obvious. The baseline is, though, how do we communicate and how do we get this complex scientific information across to the public? Communication is perhaps the biggest issue with climate change. I wouldn't refer too much to Al Gore, but I think he understood a little bit about that. So this is why we in Primate, the private sector meteorology community, we are so enthusiastic and so positive about the ECAC and ECAM conferences, because there is the A in the name, applications, applied. It's applied climatology, and the next one is applied meteorology. That's what it's about. Through the applications, we must be able to translate the complex information into digestible pieces of information for the public and for the professional user. So what does it mean for utilities, for insurance companies, for agriculture, for road services, government organizations? What are their problems? Can they adjust? Where can we meet? I've seen several titles in the whole week, which were very intriguing. Quite a few times they had the word challenges in the title, or even bridging the gap also. It's quite justified. I'm aware that the public sector is also partly private sector, commercial, I mean. So we all recognize these issues. Let us all work together. Let us build partnerships so they can work together between private sector and public sector. So let us exchange data. Of course, it's an issue in Primate. And deliver proper value-added services. I like to thank everybody who has been responsible for organizing these meetings. As Dominique said, a lot of people, so it's easy to miss one. Dominique, it's your last term, so maybe a special word to that. So hope you... and I thank also also appreciate the presence of the government of the Czech Republic. It's very much appreciated. And I like to welcome all the scientists who rule this week. So let us present science, let us communicate, and let us bridge the gap, mind the gap, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. So, as you mentioned, our next welcome address will be given also by somebody coming from the Netherlands and who also at some stage was in KNMI, so the Dutch Met Service. Probably says something about the quality of meteorological education and training in the Netherlands and in KNMI, by the way. So, now, okay, almost. So he's representing here now the manufacturers, the Association of Manufacturers for Hydrometeorological Equipment, and I'm happy to give you the floor.
Thank you. I have prepared one slide, which you can see. I think it's really a very boring slide, but in my 5 minutes, I hope you have time to read it. When I came down in the elevator this morning, I met one of my former KNMI colleagues, and even though HMEI exists since 2003, so it's just a little bit younger than EMS itself, this gentleman did not really know what we were and what we were doing. So I hope in this presentation to make it a bit clearer. I'm a new face to you, so those people who have been attending EMS meetings for a longer period of time should have seen and know my former colleague Ben Dieterink. He was my predecessor here at HMEI, but he happily retired since May this year, and he's enjoying this very much. So even though he was planning to come, I think he has other activities at the moment, and he's not going to be here. So you will have to do with me. HMEI means the Association for Hydrological and Meteorological Equipment Industry. And that means, if I translate this in normal English, we are the guys who are doing observation systems. We are building observation systems, we are making sensors. And in HMEI, we joined our forces, so since 2003, when we were established. And by now we have about 120 members. Originally, as you can see on this slide, that's the second paragraph. We made this group, we established this group to be a partner for WMO because it's easier for these entities which you have in meteorology to discuss as a group and not as individual companies. So it's kind of weird because a number of these companies are each other's competitors and sometimes we're fighting, but still we joined up in this HMEI and we are there and we're talking to the meteorological community. And I think this is really good, not only from, say, a manufacturer's point of view, but also, and I don't know if you realize that, but meteorology is really fun, and I think a lot of manufacturers really enjoy the products they're making. They're proud of that. And we like to exhibit, we like to show off our equipment, and this is also what we actually are doing here. There is an exhibition outside, and I hope you will come and visit us. It was already mentioned, I'm the third person from the Netherlands. I also worked at the Dutch Met Office for almost 10 years. I started there in 1992, and I was a scientist in the observation division there. And working with a lot of meteorological instruments, which is really very interesting. There's a lot of research to be done with these instruments. It's really nice, good stuff for science. What I also observed in meteorology is that there really is a split between observations and forecasting. And I thought that was kind of weird. In the end, the forecasters are forecasting parameters that observation people are measuring. And in the end, if you can't verify forecasts, then they become fairly useless. On the other hand, observations by itself, they just give you a state of the atmosphere at a certain moment in time. But they become much more useful if you can also say forecast for the future what actually is going to happen. And again, I mean, there's the forecasting part. So I always found in these 10 years that I was there that this artificial split of observations and forecasting should not be there. I think meteorology is the combination of forecasting and observations, and that should be here at the EMS. I think if you look at other, the sister organization, the AMS, and the meetings they're having in the United States every year, there is a large component on observations. If you look at the TICO, which is organized by WMO regularly, every 4 years or so, there's also nowadays a better mix of observation and forecasting. And I think here at the EMS, which I attended since the first time in 2001 in what was it, Budapest. I think it would be really nice if there would be more focus on observations as well. And I'm not only saying that from my manufacturer point of view, but as somebody who has been involved in meteorology and meteorological business for more than 20 years. For me, in HMEI, being here and seeing that there is an exhibition of 4 booths, and one of them is AMS, another is Elsevier, so books and magazines. And that there are only 2 booths which actually are members of HMEI from our 120. And that means something is wrong, and I think we should try to improve this. And from my side, from HMEI, I really want to make an effort to get more observations into conferences like this, and that also means there would be more interest from HMEI, from the industry, and I think also for the financial health of events like this, it would be good if there would be more of the industry present here. Well, with that, I want to thank the organization for giving us time to talk here and to present ourselves. I hope that after my few minutes of presentation and after you had time to read all of this, next time when I'm here, that everybody will know what HMEI is. And the only thing I want to say now is that I do want to wish you a very nice conference, and I hope to be here for a few days and enjoy some of the presentations. The program is really nice, and see you later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the only thing I could say that I couldn't agree more to what you said, and to be frank, having spent 12 years at ECMWF, the European Centre for Universal Forecast, which had built the whole of its success on how to make best possible use of observations in the forecast. So clearly what you mentioned is something which really at the heart of what we try to do. So I agree that we should probably increase in that will be for my successor probably the place of the observations in here. The last welcome address will now be given by, I would say, one of our guests. I think clearly when we developed the European Med Society, we had in mind, of course, the example of what was already existing in North America with the American Med Society meeting, which really the occasion where all, I would say, members of the med community, be they manufacturers, be they from the academic community, from the weather service, from the private sector, coming together, exchanging, discussing, and clearly that's what we wanted to build, and I think we may not be yet quite at the same level of the EMS meeting, but we are getting there. Those meetings do exist. So we have a very strong cooperation with the American Med Society, and I'm quite happy that we have with us the current president of the American Med Society, who will come and address this session. Bill Gale, please come up and give the address.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here today, and I want to thank EMS and the conference committee for inviting me. The relationship between AMS and EMS has been quite strong, and I certainly look forward to building on that relationship as we go forward. We have a very bright future. You know, some people think that the most interesting work in this field was done 100 or 200 years ago by some of the founders of meteorology and climatology. I happen to think that we live in a very exciting time in our field. I think we have some great opportunities moving forward, and we're really right now culminating a 50-year revolution that began in the 60s with satellite observations and advanced observing systems that allowed us to really for the first time see the Earth as a whole, to observe the atmosphere and the land masses and the oceans. And then that continued through the 80s with the growth of modeling, the advent of advanced computing systems that allowed us to really replicate the atmosphere and all that's involved in the atmosphere and make quite advanced predictions. And now we're at the third phase of this revolution. This is something that we have not done ourselves in this community, but is every bit as important as the first two phases. And that's communication capabilities that allow us to get this information out to people, whether it's web or mobile, so we can take the great information that we generate and reach out to people and really touch all 7 billion people in the world. And this is very exciting. I'll call this the modern meteorology. We're really the first generation to be able to use this kind of capability and apply it for the public good. And the implications for this, I believe, are quite profound. So there are perhaps 700 million people in the world today that have access to quality weather and climate information. A decade from now, I believe that will go up by a factor of 10. All 7 billion people in the world will have access to that information. And that's a huge step forward. And even those of us who have access to quality information now will perhaps be using it 100 times as often as we do today. All you have to do is think about all the applications on your mobile device that are not currently using weather information, that could use weather information to enhance what they provide to you. And you begin to understand. And in many ways, the advances that are going to come in our field involve combining weather information, climate information with other kinds of information to produce new products and services. And it's that combination of information that's going to be so powerful moving forward. Now, the measure of this progress is not what we do in our meetings and conferences. It's not keeping ourselves employed. It's really what we provide to the public. So we always have to step back one step and think, how is it that what we're doing serves the public? And that should be the measure of our progress. Now, this vision is captured in the theme of the upcoming AMS annual meeting, early January in Phoenix. I certainly hope many of you can attend. And that theme is fulfilling the vision of weather, water, and climate information for every need, time, and place. And I really believe that that is our vision of the future for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years. Weather information, climate information, water information provided to every person when they need it, where they need it, for the very purpose that they need it. And I'll add that societies play a very central role in this vision. AMS plays a role, EMS, all of the national societies that are part of EMS. We are sort of the glue that holds this enterprise together. We're a common platform, a trusted platform that allows dialogue to come together amongst the three sectors, the private sector, the government sector, and the academic sector, and allows that enterprise to progress effectively. So I look forward to working with all of you on this vision. I look forward to the meeting, and I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Bill. I would like to thank all now presenters who gave those welcome address. I think we are finishing spot on time. That's quite noticeable. Thank you very much. We'll have now a break, and I will ask all of you to come back sharp at 11. We have now a special session, strategic lecture on the theme of the conference, so developing climate services through partnership. We have 4, I think, extremely interesting lectures which will be given there. So please be back at 11 sharp for this 2 hours lectures with some questions to the presenters. See you later.